welcome to the International Desk. I'm Lynda Kinkade. US President Donald Trump insists the White House is not in chaos. But today his administration is dealing with two new issues. First, the stunning ouster of Anthony Scaramucci. He was shown the door Monday after an astonishingly short but controversial stint as communications director. Just as news of the firing was sinking in, there was yet another new revelation. This one stems from the Russian probe and how Donald Trump Jr. initially characterized his meeting with a Russian lawyer. And it could reach all the way to the president himself. Well, senior international Washington correspondent Joe Johns has been following the developments. He joins us live from the White House. Joe, for months, President Trump has tried to distance himself from the Russian probe, calling it a witch hunt. But today's revelation suggests that Donald Trump may have directly attempted to mislead the public.
At least there's a potential of that. I think, Linda, the question really is, was there deception? Was there an attempt to mislead? Does it create any legal exposure for the president? Is there any other possibly innocent explanation for what went on here after where all this started with a New York Times report about the motivation of the president's son, Donald Trump, in meeting with that Russian lawyer during the campaign in 2016.
The Washington Post reporting that President Trump personally dictated his son's misleading initial statement about the reason for the June 2016 meeting with a Russian lawyer. It all happened on Air Force One while the president was returning from the G20 summit last month. The Post says President Trump overruled his advisors who were advocating for full transparency, directing the statement to describe the focus of the meeting being about adoption of Russian children. Trump Jr.'s own emails released days later showed that the meeting was actually about providing the Trump campaign with incriminating information on Hillary Clinton from the Russian government. It remains unclear if President Trump knew this at the time. The Washington Post reports that White House advisors now worry that the president's direct involvement leaves him needlessly vulnerable to allegations of a cover-up.
I wasn't involved in the statement drafting at all, nor was the president. I'm assuming that was between Mr. Donald Trump Jr., between Don Jr. and his lawyer.
After vehemently denying that President Trump was involved last month, one of the president's private attorneys refutes the Washington Post report in a statement saying, apart from being of no consequence, the characterizations are misinformed, inaccurate, and not pertinent. These stunning revelations coming after the president vowed there was no chaos at the White House, tweeting that it was a great day, despite another major shakeup.
I have no doubt that he will be an absolutely superb chief of staff.
Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci ousted by the new Chief of Staff, General John Kelly, after only days on the job. Scaramucci's brief tenure marred by a vulgar tirade about his White House colleagues and amplified in a bizarre interview on New Day.
As you know from the Italian expression, the fish stinks from the head down. But I can tell you two fish that don't stink, okay? And that's me and the president.
Negative media coverage of the attacks on Reince Priebus and Steve Bannon eroding the president's trust in Scaramucci.
The president certainly felt that Anthony's comments were inappropriate for a person in that position.
Despite the president's own history of vulgar comments.
Grab him by the
which led to a rare apology in the final stretch of the campaign.
So one of the things I think it's also important to say here is that this new chief of staff who's come in, John Kelly, is determined, he says, to try to put some order and discipline, if you will, into the White House. It's very clear he's interested also in chain of command, as you would expect from a former general, telling all the staff, frankly, they have to report to him.
Right, we'll have to see how he goes in that new role. But looking at what President Trump may have done when it comes to this Russian investigation, what could the legal implications be?
That's a good question. The Washington Post reporting, quoting sources, suggested that some people in the president's circles are concerned about possible obstruction of justice. But quite frankly, it is not against the law to mislead the news media. If you put out a statement publicly, they pick it up and run it in the newspapers. On the other hand, the president's lawyers certainly would not like a situation like this to become part of a pattern showing a greater attempt to deceive the public in the president's behind-the-scenes activities.
All right, interesting to note. Joe Johns, at the Washington. Thank you very much.